name is Awaswa John Baptist. I stand here on behalf of the judges. And to start with, I have the honor to introduce to you the 12 panelists who served with me as judges on the panel that vetted this year's entries. Mr. Benon Herbert Oluka, he's editor, Global Investigative Journalism Network, Africa. Dr. Emile Maracho. Dr. Maracho is head of Department of Journalism and Media Studies, Uganda Christian University. Ms. Evelyn Kiapi. Ms. Evelyn Kiapi is Communications and Public Relations Specialist. Ms. Laura Warusimbi, she was also a judge, Corporate Communications Manager at Uganda Coffee Development Authority, and she had a long history in the newsroom. Ms. Lydia Nambiru, Digital and Data Journalism Specialist. Ms. Patience Athaire. Patience Athaire is Senior Broadcast Journalist at the BBC News. Mr. Poki Mumwe. Mr. Poki Mumwe is Senior Programs Officer with CPESA. Ms. Rosemary Kemigisha, Senior Human Rights Officer and Editor at Uganda Human Rights Commission. Mr. Richard Kavuma, Richard, normally I call him Rivkam. Richard Kavuma is Communication Specialist and worked for a long time at the Observer and the Monitor. Dr. Sarah Namusoga Kale. Dr. Sarah Namusoga was also a judge. She's lecturer at Department of Journalism and Communication, Makerere University. And Mr. Simon Kaheru, Publications Manager, Public Relations and Communications Director at Coca-Cola Beverages. And Simon also had a long history in the newsroom at the Sunday Vision. And Dr. Wairagara Wakabi, Executive Director of CPESA. The panel members have at one point or another, as I've mentioned, in their careers have been editorial managers in newsrooms or covered a wide range of stories and subjects and educated or mentored different generations of journalists. And they bring to the table several decades of collective experience in various forms of media work, past and present. When they were given the task for this round of adjudication, they devoted considerable labor and time for the vetting exercise. In its 7th edition, as Susan mentioned, these awards have demonstrated their relevance, their appeal, and resilience as numbers will testify. And the greatest increase in participation is from journalists and journalists based outside Kampala, from new journalists and journalists based outside Kampala. Unfortunately, the number of women, as the board chairperson has mentioned, the number of women participating in Uganda National Journalism Awards is still low. This year, only 19% of participating journalists were women. And it's from the academia, I think, you know the classes you've taught at universities, the women have been the majority, but where they go, nobody knows. So this year, only 19% participating journalists were women. On one hand, this comes as no surprise given the low number of female reporters across the country. On the other hand, we urge media houses to do more to retain, mentor, and support women in their newsrooms. Every journalism student learns that a free press should look what a free press should look like and represent communities it covers. A popular school of feminist theory posits that gender affects how stories are written, how they are sourced, how they are framed. Due to the common gender-related socializations, we tend to normally marginalize women. You know, when you send journalists to get sources, the majority will be men. Sometimes they are only men, and it's very often, even when you open newspapers now, we listen to TV, that is the word. Those are the socializations which we have. So, but if media are to represent and mirror society, they must seek and reflect the fact that gender equality is a human right. This also means an increase in fair gender portrayal in the news and the use of neutral and gender-specific language where applicable, and an increase in the number of women covering the wide range of public affairs issues. The 20 categories in which journalists who participated in this year's awards competed represent the breadth, the demands, and the challenges of our journalism today. In fact, those categories also reflect what is attractive about journalism in Uganda today. 357 entries from print, radio, television, and online platforms were entered for the competition. The category that attracted the highest number of entries were local reporting, features, health reporting, and educational reporting. And the categories that attracted the lowest number of entries are data journalism, photo and video journalism, news illustration, and sport. And this is a bit disappointing because we are becoming increasingly more multimedia, and so these things we should have more of this. The highest average scores were registered in the health and local reporting categories. And this is notable because it is indicative of the good journalism delivered to grassroots audiences outside Kampala and the rising quality of health science reporting. What is the good and quality journalism that we are celebrating today? It is journalism that presents with clarity and depth unreported or underreported issues of national concern. It is well resourced in terms of quantity and diversity of voices that speak to an issue. It provides a 360-degree view of issues, providing nuance, questioning perceptions, and providing answers for audiences. So the finalists for this year's awards meet these criteria. However, not all entries did that. So the panel of judges found that, one, many journalists do not provide the necessary critique of issues to present audiences with a deep understanding of the news. There are many who say, he said, she said, he said, she said, the president said, she said, and they don't provide the necessary critique of issues to present audiences with a deep understanding of the news. Secondly, there is a shortage of creativity in storytelling and an over-reliance on outdated models of news presentation. They were presented in news in 2000 or in 1986, the way many are still presenting it. But society has changed, dynamics change, and new ways of telling the story have changed. So, thirdly, the use of new digital journalistic tools is minimal, particularly among online and broadcast journalists, whose platforms provide them with the versatility to do more with their reporting. When you are an online journalist, you can do maps, you can put photos, you can put audio, you can put video, but you find the story full of text. So as judges for this competition, we want these categories to continually evolve. This evolution is important for us to be able to recognize outstanding coverage of all public affairs that are critical to the life of the nation and the information needs of the citizens. I'll conclude by encouraging editors to borrow and appropriate the criteria we use to assess the submissions for these awards. But therefore, every category, there are rigorous criteria. For every category, there are rigorous criteria. So we encourage editors to visit ACME and you see, how does ACME judge, how do they judge these stories? How does a good story come about? This could be incorporated into your in-house training, coaching, and mentoring efforts. If anything, greater alignment and convergences between the standards used to adjudicate this competition and your expectations as editorial managers will ensure that a rise in quality and quantity of excellent journalism in Uganda. On behalf of my fellow judges, I congratulate all the finalists and wish the awards the longest possible shelf life. I thank you all.